Should we let life happen to us or should we take control? One of my comments really inspired me to make this video. I really hope that this is up to your standard. I'm just going to talk about what I personally think because that's what the comment implied. I don't necessarily let life happen to me. I do and I don't. I'm religious, and this affects how I let the natural inclination occur. If I do something for myself, I want to do it for myself. I don't like the idea of doing something that someone has ascribed me to do because that doesn't feel like I'm doing it for me. So what I personally want to say is that when it comes to my goals, I take control. When it comes to the actions I take control. But when it comes to the outcome, I let God take control. That's when I realize some things in life are not in our control. Life itself is not in our control. Whether I get an illness, whether I get some kind of disadvantage, whether something genuinely doesn't work out for me, that's not in my control. But what is in my control are the things and actions I can take. So if I don't know what God has necessarily given for me, I can then think of what things that I do want to include. I want to help people. I want to do something for myself. There's so many possibilities, and I show up for myself every single day. That is in my control. As for what is specifically ordained for me, I don't know that yet. So I have to keep trying. The idea that things are just happening can sometimes spark anxiety. So one thing I really was thinking about with this comment is the fact that I have anxiety as well. I overthink the crap out of things at times. Thankfully, it's been a bit more manageable, but generally, I am an overthinker. And sometimes that's a good thing and sometimes it's a bad thing. Good in the sense that you're actually thinking about the future, that you're being careful. Bad in the sense that sometimes you're just worrying about something that's not even guaranteed to happen. So what I was thinking about in particular was that I just let life happen to me. But when it comes to my goals and stuff, I do it. And I know it sounds strange, but it's a strange mix of doing things for myself plus also surrendering what I can't control. Because even if you're not religious, there is something you can't control. And that's something that we as individuals need to know. And it doesn't have to be to a higher power. It's just something we genuinely can't handle. If someone had a terminal illness, for example, what can they do? They can't just keep grieving. They have to make the most of life. But at the same time, because if it's a terminal illness and there's no actual cure for it, that's outside of their control. How I like to see things is that I want to achieve certain things. Now, I'm going to say something which is very personal, but at the same time, this is what I kind of believe in. I don't like the idea of working for other people. So I have worked for others before, but I like to work for myself because I know my deadlines, I know my limits, I get anxious. So that's why I'm very, very committed to this YouTube thing. Now, some people can call it dumb, go ahead. But that's where my standards are. So I don't know if God wants me to be this YouTuber. But one thing I do know is it's not a waste of time. Sorry, dude. I need to surrender. Otherwise, I am going to be shouldering something that's not my responsibility. If someone, and I use terminal illness because I want to be really open to people who aren't so religious. Because what I remember is that it's something outside of your control. The only thing you can do is appreciate life. The only thing you can do is eat healthy or whatever the doctor prescribes you. But if you've been told it's terminal and there's nothing you can outwardly do besides appreciating life, that's it. That's outside of your control. But the only thing that is in your control is what you do with the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? And that's what people should understand more. That's how I feel with my career. I don't want to be suffocating by doing something I don't want to do. We have one life, and even if some people say it's hard, there's no guarantee of stability anywhere. How I see it is we're born, that's a guarantee, because we're present, and we die, that's a guaranteed. Everything in between is not even guaranteed. And that always gives me some kind of peace, because at least there is some kind of divine plan behind it, or at least knowing that it's off my shoulders, you know. One day I'm not gonna have to suffer. One day that's it. We're all gone. And I know that sounds dark, but in a way for me, it feels liberating. It feels calming because it's a load off my shoulder. Like, not things won't matter as much, but at the same time, we have to do what's within our control. If there's a goal you have, if there's something you want to do, life is short, and I always remember that. And I know it's not easy doing a job for myself. And I know it sounds idealistic. I know it sounds crazy, but I have chosen this for myself. And I feel like God has as well. And I'm not talking about YouTube necessarily. I'm talking about the idea of working for myself. So that's where I don't let life happen to me. As for letting life happen to me, that's the when and the how. If God decides at this time, this age, I become successful, that's his timing. He has the best timing. That's where I surrender. That's when I let life happen. But I can't sit still, because in our faith, there is also a saying, or there is, what's the word? There is basically a reference where if you don't do something and you just pray for it, it's delusion. And that's where I have to take both into account. I can't just set a prayer and just let it go. I set the prayer. Yes, I do let it go in the sense of an obsession of when I need it. But at the same time, I have to take the action to secure my role. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you're trying to buy a house, okay? You need to pay the deposit if you want that house. Otherwise, someone's going to get it. And when you have the deposit, you have that safe space because it's yours. You've secured it. But at the same time, you're still trying to make ends meet to be able to afford the house and then get the bills, the rents, everything sorted. You know what I'm saying? And that's exactly what it's like. We have to arrange for this deposit. We have to secure our places and try our best to maintain it, because if we can't pay for it, that's it. The eviction notice is right there. Because the thing with anxiety as well, because this is another point mentioned, is it makes you overthink so much. And that's why I always refer back to facts over feelings. So if anyone is new to my channel, I've mentioned facts over feelings a few times. I haven't mentioned it as much recently, but I'm not expecting everyone to watch absolutely every one of my videos. But I just wanted to say this anyway, in case anyone feels it's repetitive. Facts over feelings for me is basically when you just remind yourself of what's true compared to how you feel. So, for example, if you say this appears to be scary, this sounds scary, that's feeling. But if you've done something before, you know, you've done something, that's a fact, okay? Sometimes our anxiety lies to us. And when we do something, it's not even half as bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, okay, it's not ideal, but at the same time, it's decent. It's actually so much better in our when we go through it than in our mind. This is the case a lot of the times. And that's why I remind myself of that. And that's where anxiety comes in. So we have to tell ourselves facts over feelings. My mind is fearing this because before I even did YouTube, before I did commentaries, I was thinking, what if people don't like what I have to say? Imagine I caved into those thoughts. I wouldn't have met such lovely individuals who watch me to this day, who support my business, who help me with every personal means, and just being amazing, amazing individuals. If I caved into those thoughts, just a simple thing like that, I would have lost everything. I wouldn't have had anything I've had right now. And this is exactly where you must draw the line. Anxiety, okay, so our mind is not actually here to give us happiness. Our mind is here to protect us. I'm not sure how many of us know this, but when I learned about it, I was like, okay, makes sense, but at the same time, it does a terrible job at that. Because when you protect something, it's because you have a fear that it's in danger, hence the term protecting. And that's exactly what our mind thinks. It always wants to alarm us, making us think that, okay, I'm in some kind of danger mode, survival mode, whatever. I've mentioned survival mode before. Basically just acting like your whole life is just going through an emergency. And it sucks, okay? I've had panic attacks before. I've had problems with I've had chest pains. I've really suffered with anxiety. And let me just say one thing. The best way to help yourself with it is to remind yourself of what's true. And to not argue with those thoughts. You give power to them instead. But yeah, that's what people should actively be aware of. I want you guys to do something that you won't regret 10 years down the line. If you were to live, I don't know, another 5 to 10 years, would you regret it? Or would you say, oh, I wish I did this? Yeah, you don't want to say the I wish I did this part. That is the regret. And you don't want to live with regret. You want to live with fulfillment. And people just don't understand that. Because the issue with that is it's too late. You've had your chance. This is regret. This is when you could have done it, when you know you should have. And I feel like for all of us, we need to surrender at one point. And once again, it doesn't refer to a higher power necessarily, but some things in life we just can't shoulder. It's too much for us. It's too much to think about. So just let life do its thing there. Like the people you're meant to meet. Sometimes with the people you're meant to meet, if you just let go, focus on your own thing, that's when you start meeting people. Otherwise, if you're obsessed, it just doesn't come. Like it's crazy. Ah, there we go. So I just let life happen to me. But when it comes to something so personal, I do it because it's not going to do it for me. And I think that's another mentality that we need, especially as people who are quite privileged. If I have to be honest, compared to how things used to be back in, I don't know, the days and stuff, we are very, very privileged. We actively have internet. We have more freedom over the careers we wanted to do. Back then, people would just do things that, I'm not saying this for everyone. I know some people do still struggle with this, but generally, we are very privileged as a modern society. We have technology. We have more freedom over what we want to do, just generally. And we need to utilize that to the best that we can. People nowadays are just so fixated on just trying to make other people like them. Do something that will make you like you. If you do something that other people like you for, but you don't like yourself, you've done something that is wrong. You're betraying your own principles, basically. So yeah, this is why I always refer to facts over feelings. Our anxiety lies to us. It tries to protect us, but at the same time, we don't need protection. We need to grow. If we're always protected, babied, we're never going to grow. We're going to stay where we are. And that's why I also like to say that we leave our comfort zone to find a bigger one. It's like being in a bubble, a protective bubble, leaving it, feeling like a fish without water, so we have no air, and then we just move on to another bubble. But in order to get to the other bubble, we have to leave this one. And that's what people need to get. You can't always stay where you are. Like, yeah, it feels safe, it feels fun. Eventually, you're going to get sick of it. And you just have to do things for yourself. That's how I like to perceive things. So the fact that I've chosen YouTube, or the fact that I've chosen to do something for myself, it's one of many things, okay? But one of the most important things I remember is it's so hard in the content world because it's competitive. At least with an actual job that some people do full time, right? People are guaranteeing things. But for me, even amidst that guarantee, I'm not a fan of it. Because it doesn't make me happy. So I work extra hard on YouTube. And this is where I really can't let life take charge. Do you know what I'm saying? So I let God do the how and the when, when it happens, how it happens. But I'm the one who has to post content. I'm the one who has to do things even more than people who, I don't know, just typically want to make content. Because I want to secure that place for myself. You know what I'm saying? Maybe what I'm doing is not the healthiest, because posting every single day or posting very often is not the greatest. But I genuinely struggle with taking breaks. But one thing I do know is that it is fulfilling. As much as I'm able to feel it, it is quite fulfilling because I can help people and I can speak my mind. There's so much about this. And yes, people can say that it's not exactly the most reliable option. Who cares? Because it makes me happy. And not just that, it helps people. So there's so many different ways to look at it, and that's exactly where you have to see it. Just because it looks like this now doesn't mean it's going to look like this 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line. If I continue even doing YouTube at that point, I don't even know how long I'll do this for. But for now, I'm just going to keep going and trust that God has a plan for me. And like I said, even if it's not this, it's not a waste of time. I'm sure it will lead to something. It's a stepping stone. But yeah, that's basically my view on life itself, and we have to surrender. We can't just always try to look into everything. So, as for whether we control our future, yes and no. I feel like we control what we do with our lives, whether we regret our future or not. So, if the future comes, that will be our present, and then that will be the past when we've done all the work and counting, etc. So, that's where we control it. But as for the future, as in life or death, or something that's, something very impactful, like I said, a terminal illness, for example, that's outside of our control. So my take is that both things are taken into account. I can't control absolutely everything. I'm a human being. But I can't sit still and just let things come to me. Life doesn't work like that. Okay? And if I really want something, I have to run after it and get it. So especially with content, like I've mentioned, because I want to do something for myself, it's not easy. So some people can say it's naive. I'm taking the steps for it. You know what I'm saying? I can't just say I want to make content. I can't just say I'm going to do something for myself. I need to prove it every single day. Maybe I have to overexert myself sometimes, in a healthy way, by the way. But in order to secure my place, in order to actually give myself a future as someone who wants to do what she wants to do. You know what I'm saying? That is where I have to take accountability. Life's not going to do it for me, because it's already a very, very absurd path that people, see. And that's exactly what we have to realize, okay? If you have harder goals by societal standards or whatever standards, then you just have to do things that is like, what's the word? You just have to keep going with stuff. Like people just don't get it. If you have something you want to do with your life, you have to do it. Life doesn't just give it to you, especially if it's hard, especially if it's something competitive, content, whatever. And I mentioned content because it's so hard nowadays. Everything is hard. Everything is. But imagine if you were in my situation, you just couldn't complete your studies. You had so many mental health problems. You had so much that you had to endure, and you immediately went to YouTube as a full-time liability. That is crazy. But imagine you still have to put in the work, and it's very hard. So I'm not trying to say that this is the hardest thing you can do. I'm not saying there's anything that isn't harder. Not my intention at all. Everyone struggles. Everyone has the right to be acknowledged, because every job for me is hard. Like there's something hard about every single job out there. One of the hardest ones that people don't acknowledge is being a mother or being a parent. That is definitely one of the hardest ones. Because when I think about it, growing up, me crying, changing nappies, etc. Whoa, for how many years? That's crazy. And it's not even counted as an actual job. But yeah, like everything has... I really feel for people, Every job has something that's hard about it. Even if people talk about retail, like talking to people, for example, that's hard. Even, just working with cash machines, etc. I still think there's something hard about that. We just need to humble ourselves and realize everyone has something that they're good at. And even if we're not really good at something, it doesn't matter, because there is something we're good at. I like to see things this way. If there is something everyone can do that I can't do, then there is something I can do that everyone can't do. Because that shows the uniqueness that we have. And when I mean by everyone, I'm talking about common skills, not everyone in existence. But yeah, that's what I would say. Work towards your goals. If you want them, you have to work hard and secure a place. So with me, I'm very hell-bent on working for myself. Very, very hell-bent. Like I'm so stubborn about it, because the idea of just being under someone else's control depresses me, and I want to work so hard for myself, so I show it in my actions. But yeah, I really do hope that this helps, and to the person who requested this topic, I really hope this was up to your standards. I'd love to hear your thoughts, everyone's thoughts. And let me know if you guys are more of the taking control type or surrendering. I would love to hear different opinions as well. So for me, it's both. Like there are certain things I have to surrender because I just won't be able to shoulder it. And then other things I have to keep walking towards it. You know what I'm saying? So Maybe it's like running a marathon. Like, I practice and practice. The practice is up to me. But the day I win the marathon, the day I actually manage to pass the barriers, if it's hurdles or if it's just a general track, that's up to God, in my opinion. Do you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I can't leave it up to Him to give me a time for success if I don't even train myself for that success. But yeah, that's what I would say. Anyway, I think I'll see you guys in probably another video. Please support my coffee page as well. That would support me on my channel. Also, my merch is in my description as well. But yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Take care and remember, you've got this.